happened. I knew this was gonna happen. Look at this parts list. It's totally insane. Welcome back to PC Builder. I'm Jason. This is Boost My Build, the series where we take your PC build list, we tear them up, we put them back together and massively increase your performance. And man, we have two insane builds for this episode. We have a $2,100 gaming PC that they want to game at 4K, but they're making all the classic mistakes, and I'm not even sure they're gonna get 1080p. And we've got a $4,500 Godzilla gaming PC build where they're trying to do all the things in all the wrong places, and it's a total disaster. Remember, if you get value out of this video, please give it a like. This makes a huge difference to the channel. And of course, subscribe, click that bell icon. That way you get notified when we release cool content. With that, let's jump into it. Before that, this video is sponsored by VIP SSD Key. Say goodbye to crazy expensive Windows 10 licenses and that terrible Activate Windows 10 watermark. Right now, use the links in the video description, head over to VIP SSD Key, and get a Windows 10 Home or Pro OEM license for a great price. Pick your product license, then use the PC Builder discount code PC25 for an additional 25% off. Go to the activation settings on your PC, put in the code, and boom, you have a fully licensed Windows 10 for a crazy low price, which can be upgraded for free to Windows 11. Use the links in the video description below. All right, we got Tamayachi. He says, Jason, please boost my friend's build. Okay, we're asking for a friend. All right, I love that. I think he's making some classic mistakes here. Try to offer some advice. Oh no, but maybe if he hears it from an expert such as yourself, it will get through to him. It's always frustrating when there's folks out there and you see them making mistakes, but hey, it's their money at the end of the day. If they're going to be happy with it, you just got to let it go. I typically make a recommendation. If they don't want to take it, that's okay. He will mostly use it for gaming at 4K. As you can see, he's going with an all white build. So let's keep that aesthetic. $2,100 USD budget. Let's see what you got. Oh my goodness. Somebody call the fire department. This is a 3-alarm fire. Well, I don't even know where to start with this build. This is one of the crazier ones. Now listen, normally I'd say, hey, everything's going to work fine together. I would not put this build together. This build has several absolutely fatal flaws to it that are going to either hamstring your performance or you're just going to black screen all the time. Your PC is going to shut off because you don't even have enough power here for the components that you're putting together. Let's start off with the budget. $2,194.91. And there's already one critical error I can see here. Can you hit pause and tell me what it is? Yeah. They don't have a PC case. It's really hard to build a PC without a case these days, but there's no case in here. So we're gonna have to get a case. That's another $100. So we're probably already about $200 over our budget. I see you're buying a Windows license. That's fine. We can work with that. If you want to buy a retail from Microsoft itself for $109, we'll work with that in this budget. It'll basically be a $2,000 budget PC. But let's start off with the GPU because I'm really frustrated here. We ended up with the RTX 4070 Super 12 gigabyte for $679. And the worst part is, this is actually too wimpy a GPU for our $2,000 budget. We should be spending about half of our budget on the GPU. And as our budget goes up, maybe even a little bit more than that. And this is just not half our budget. This is not even close to half our budget. And we're walking away with a relatively weak GPU for this build level. For $2,000, it's too weak for this build. And we got to get something better. The other thing I hate is that this GPU, because it's all white, I don't know why, but there's like an $80 price premium we're getting charged here. And I really don't like that either. I mean, here's one of the reasons we're just completely imbalanced on our GPU because our CPU is imbalanced. We're going with an i9 14900K. You don't need that for a 4070 Super to get the most out of it. You can go with a lesser CPU, even if you want Intel. I will say Intel's a little rough right here for gaming. If you told me this is a production focused build, I'd say, okay, let's drop this to a 14700K. This is primarily a gaming build. You don't need these super high power draw. And we're going to get to the power draw in just a second. These CPUs, too much cooling required, too much power required, and we're dumping so much money in to support the CPU, both in the cost of the CPU and everything else, that we're undersizing our GPU. Yeah, let's jump into the cooler. I like the NZXT Kraken 240 RGB. It's one of the cheaper coolers with an LCD screen on it. This cooler is not sufficient for 14900K. So this is just basically a non-starter, even at $160. Now, for $160, I could get you a cooler that would be enough for a 14900K. We can get the new Arctic Liquid Freezer 3. That one looks great. We'd get a 360 in there. But honestly, it looks like you also want a particular aesthetic to it. So this is just basically not going to work. The motherboard, the ROG Strix B760, for whatever reason, they don't sell it. The Intel is not selling as well as Ryzen of at least 14th, 13th gen. And as a result, a lot of these kind of more niche motherboards, like the cool micro ATX motherboards that are either the Z series motherboards or even the B series motherboards, they're just not selling them at the high-end feature set like the ROG Strix ones right now. They're just, for whatever reason, not shipping them into the US. Maybe these are available somewhere else, but we can't even get this motherboard. I'm going to jump directly to the PSU. I know you usually save this for the end, but the Corsair RM 850, first of all, it's an older unit. It's an older unit. We want the 850E if we can get it, but this is not enough power for this build. I think we need like more like 1200. I'll double check, but I know 850 isn't going to cut it. I'm not sure 1000 is going to cut it. And the problem is once you get over 1000 watts of power, the price on those units just spikes up because they don't make as many. Those are super premium units basically. So we got to keep our power in check here if we want to get the most out of our budget. The RAM doesn't work for me. A DDR5 6200 CL36 slow. This is slow RAM. I think we got sucked in with the Corsair virus here. Oh, it's Corsair Dominator. It has to be good. Guys, Corsair does not make RAM, okay? Other people make RAM. Corsair buys the bundle. They then bin it. They then put the heat spreader on it and they put a tuning on it. But $169 for super slow RAM just isn't going to cut it. We can do a lot better. We've got crazy drives here. I've got like a 1 terabyte SATA SSD. I've got a 2 terabyte SATA SSD. I hope we're not actually buying these drives brand new. I really hope that we're not buying these new. And instead what we're trying to do is drag these from a previous build and we've accidentally put them in and as though we're actually going to pay for them because these are terrible values. We want to go NVMe drives. SATA drives are just an absolute no-go in 2024. Again, only if you're going to drag them from like a previous build over, because a lot of people do that. I'm not even enthralled with our NVMe 970 Evo Plus 2 terabyte, $150 right now for this drive. It's overpriced in my estimation. We could do a lot better. Yeah, I'm just looking at $2,194. And again, we have no case, so I can't even criticize the case other than say you can't build a PC without a case. So we're probably more like $2,300, so we're hundreds of dollars over our budget. Our GPU performance isn't there. We can't even put this together and have it run reliably. It's probably getting a black screen or just shut off on us. It's going to instantly thermally throttle. So we got to do a lot better. I called this a $2,100 all white 4K gaming insanity build because we were going to get insane gaming performance at 4K, which is what your friends said they wanted. And we're going to give them the all white build. We're going to not blow up our PC. We're going to have a PSU that's going to have enough power and we're going to have a cooler that's sufficient too. And look at the budget. I finished out $2,126.92. Now that includes your $109 on the Windows license. You can obviously cut some costs there if you want. You could use our sponsor on that. If you don't want to do that, that's absolutely fine. And this thing has a PC case. It is an actual PC case. You will be able to assemble it. Let's jump into the GPU because this is an area where you may even be able to save a little bit of money if you want to get under that budget. But I selected the Zotac Gaming RTX 4070 Ti Super. This is the Trinity OC White Edition. A little bit more expensive than the entry-level models, but again, you want the all-white. Here you are. This is DLSS at 4K, which actually has really good performance advantages. And it's also got all that ray tracing. If that's important to you, those are good things to invest in. $839. This is much closer to what we want to spend on our budget for our build. Now, your alternative here is either the 7900 XT on the AMD side, or you could even go up a little bit to the 7900 XTX for not that much more money, about $60, $70. I decided let's focus in on this as the alternative because I don't want to go too far over your budget. The ASRock Phantom Gaming right now with 7900 XT, 20 gigabyte GPU, by the way, $739. Now it is back ordered, but they are coming in pretty quickly, so you can grab that one. There's also like a Yestron really psychedelic cool one here for with the promo code. I guess it's like $730 or something like that. So you can check either of those out as alternatives. But let's talk about performance. For the RTX 4070 Ti Super, I've got the review that Tom's Hardware did, so relatively fresh data. Now, they use a suite of games that I feel like is slightly more NVIDIA focused or NVIDIA leaning than some of the other ones. Thus, the 4070 Ti Super, very neck and neck with the 7900 XT at 4K. Other outlets put the 7900 XT slightly, well, a little bit more ahead of it. But let's focus in on the difference between the 4070 Ti Super and the 4070 Super. You're getting a lot more performance there at 4K. And you're getting 16 gigs of VRAM. More importantly, the 4070 Super, even at 1440p, if you wanted to play Alan Wake 2 on release ultra settings, 1440p. Guess what? You didn't have enough VRAM with 12 gigs of VRAM. That sounds insane, but that is where gaming is going right now. That's why I like the 4070 Ti Super or the 7900 XT. Let's talk about the rest of the build. We're going to go with the only CPU that really makes sense if you're primarily gaming focused. But even if you want to do other production work, this is still an 8-core CPU. It's a Ryzen 7800X 3D. Right now, $356, pretty much close to its absolute lowest Black Friday price from last year. I would snap this thing up. It's going to give you tons of gaming performance. This beats the 14900K with an RTX 4090. Obviously, we're not using an RTX 4090 in this build, and either of those CPUs is going to pretty much give you about 100% of your GPU performance for the ones that we're looking at right now. It doesn't require a massive cooler. It doesn't require a massive PSU. This is just such a no-brainer right now. Look, I hope Intel does better, but they can't compete right now. For the cooler, we stuck it out with your cooler, the NZXT Kraken 240 RGB, and this is the LCD screen on it for $160. I love this cooler. And the good news is that this cooler is actually going to be enough for the 7800X3D. You don't have to go to a 360. You don't have to lose the LCD screen. We're going to get everything that you want. For the motherboard, you have a number of different options here with Ryzen, thankfully, in terms of whiteboards. I went with the MSI B650 Edge Wi-Fi. Now, this is a more premium board. It's got more premium audio on it. $230. All the white-ish boards right now are like $230. Sometimes they drop down to $199 just out of the blue, and this board had been there, but now back up to $229. You could also go with a more budget tier board, especially if you do want micro ATX. There's like the ASRock ProRS Wi-Fi. That's a board that we continue to recommend, more kind of middle of the road features, but this is a great board. It's got Wi-Fi on it. It's got upgraded audio on it. It's going to look amazing. For the RAM, we just got sensible RAM, and I continue to recommend this kit. This is a kit we've been using a lot. Team Group T-Force Delta. This is DDR5 6000CL30. Nice fast RAM. I would say even if you're going to go Intel, this is a good kit to grab right now for $109. For the drive, look, let's just go with something more sensible. You can always add more storage in the future, even faster storage in the future if you want. Honestly, the Team Group MP33 2 terabyte, this is going to give you pretty much everything you need as a gamer for $105. You're going to get 2 terabytes of storage. It's Gen 3, but it's pretty dang fast compared to SATA speeds, compared to anything else out there. It's going to last for quite some time, and it's only $105. For the case, I went with a case I absolutely love. Let's show this off. You want an all-white build, you want to really showcase it, let's go with the Montech Sky 2. Now, this is an Atrium-style RGB case. It comes with 4 included ARGB fans on it, and we're going to put our cooler right in the top. It's going to look absolutely amazing. You can take this fan out if you want. It's not absolutely necessary, but it is nice to draw in a little bit of fresh air for your GPU there. And you don't have to do a lot to it either for $95. The PSU, the Thermaltake Tough Power GFA3 Snow Edition, 850 watts. Now, in this case, 850 watts is exactly as much power as we need for this build. So 2 thumbs up there. This unit's even cheaper than the one you were looking at. That unit you're looking at was like, it's old, probably kind of some crazy third-party seller. $120. This is A tier rated on the PSU Cultist list. It's PCIe Gen 5, so it's got the NVIDIA connector to it, the 12-volt high power connector, ATX 3.0. It's kind of everything that you need, and it's got white cable extensions that come with it. So all told, for $2,126.92, you're going to get an amazingly performative 4K gaming PC that's going to crush the performance of that other build that probably wouldn't even have turned on for you. We have right-sized your CPU and GPU balance way more than we just had, and it's going to give you that bling, all-white RGB aesthetic that you've been looking for. So I hope you feel like your build is boosted. Thunder says he calling this the overkill, but who cares build. I love the name. Your budget is $4,000 to $4,500, and that includes the monitor, but this is still a Godzilla build. We haven't had a Godzilla build in a while. I'm super excited about this. Your main games are going to be Call of Duty, VR gaming, Minecraft with photo and video editing tossed in there, so we just want to do everything. You don't want a 27-inch monitor, a larger than 27-inch monitor. Okay, we'll see what we can do about that. Not sure about good cases. You don't want any RGB, okay? And you're not sure if you need more fans, better RAM. You're just very confused about this, but you're willing to go AMD or Intel. I can already feel that whole, like, I've maybe got a little bit too much money, and I'm probably trying to buy all the things, and I can't figure out how to do that. Jason, for the sake of the cats, help me out there. All right, let's see what you got. Oh, it happened. I knew this was going to happen. Look at this parcels. It's totally insane. And I knew this was going to happen. We had too much money to spend, and we couldn't decide what we wanted the PC to do. I can tell. And so we tried to make it do everything at max ultra, and we spent max ultra money on it. And you end up with this crazy parts list. And look at that. We're $400 over our budget. Wait. You don't even have a price in there for your Windows license. So let's add another $100. You're $500 over your budget. You're at $5,000. Your stretch budget was $4,500. Your initial budget was $4,100. So you're like massively over budget. And I'm just seeing stuff here that absolutely makes no sense. No sense whatsoever. I don't even know where to start. So it's kind of overwhelming. Let's start with the GPU. Here, you did a good job. The RTX 4090, this is definitely the GPU we want to get. I don't know if we want to get the tough gaming one. They're still super expensive because the whole China AI ban that the US State Department put in, and then they rushed them all out there. I don't have to tell the whole story. I think most of you know, 4090's prices just went off the charts. They still have not come back down to quote unquote normal. I'm not sure that they ever will before the 5090 comes out, either late this year or early next year. But in the meantime, let's see if we can get you a better price 4090 because $2,000 is a lot to spend. The CPU here, I just, every time I see an i9 13900K or a 1400K, I just weep because it's just like, first of all, we're spending a lot of money for this CPU, $523, and it's not going to give us the same gaming performance as the 7800X3D, maybe some video editing. And honestly, the 7800X3D would be amazing for any amateur out there, even some professionals out there. You don't need this power. And then we're going to have a bigger PSU, more cooling. This just doesn't make any sense. I could see going 14700K here if we want to maintain that kind of multi-threaded workload. That's where I would probably go. A lot cheaper, a lot less on all that other stuff. I'm going to just jump into the monitor here because this is not a monitor that we want to buy for gaming. This is a super color accurate monitor. It's only at B&H, we can get this for $200. You have it for $323 over at Amazon. But this is a 60 hertz monitor at 1440p. And this is like super color accurate. This is for people who do professional photo editing. We don't want this. We want a gaming monitor. So we're going to just chuck this into the trash. I have some other really big concerns with this. So we went with a 13900K, but I hate your RAM. I hate it. And I can see what happens here. You realized you were running out of budget at the end and you're like, I have to have 64 gigs of RAM. Why do you have to have 64 gigs of RAM? You don't need that. 32 gigs is probably way more than you'll ever use. I can see what happened. You're like, oh, I'm already so far over budget. I'll just get this DDR550 200 CL40 stupidly slow garbage kit by Corsair, and they're going to charge you way too much money for, and you're going to turn your 13900K into a 12900K basically by using crappy RAM. It just doesn't make any sense. Cooler, the NHD 15, there are way better price performance coolers out there. I get that some people like it. There are other coolers that produce just as much cooling these days and don't cost $120. Now look, it looks awesome. Don't get me wrong, especially if you're into the kind of all black, matte black. And I can tell that you have a whole matte black thing. There are other matte black coolers out there that will perform similarly. And especially if we're going to stay in this class of CPU, I'd consider liquid cooling instead, because otherwise these things are going to be pumping all the time. I like the motherboard, MSI Mag Z790 Tomahawk Wi-Fi, got no arguments with it. Good Z790 board. I believe it has BIOS flashback on it. So if you want to go like 14700K, which is kind of where I'm leaning right now, can definitely do that. $229, not a bad price. Let's jump into the storage because my eyes burn. They burn looking at this. Like, what have we done here? $150 a pop for these 8 terabyte hard drives, and you've got 3 of them. That is 24 gigs of essentially cold storage. What are we doing here? That's $450. That's 10% of your budget we're spending on a hard drive storage. Like, why do we need all that storage? Because on top of that, let's just 2 terabyte Samsung 980 Pro for $166 NVMe. And on top of that, we've got a 990 Pro 4 terabyte for $339. And it's just like, we're spending like, oh my gosh, what is that? Like $1,000 or more dollars on our storage. What do we need 30 terabytes for? Like, that's insane. I don't think rigs in 2024 should have this much storage. If you feel like you need this much storage, consider a network attached storage device, consider cloud storage. There are other solutions out there that I would go to because I don't like packing all this data on one PC. If something happens to the PC, or am I going to lose all my data? Where's the backup plan on it? Just, there's all kinds of problems with it, and it's sucking all of our money. I also don't like your case. I do not like the Fractal Design Define 7XL. Like, where's the airflow on this case? It's got 2 side slits like this, and that's it. And we're putting a 13900K in and a 4090? No. Fractal makes good cases. Like the Fractal Torrent is a great air cooling case. Why didn't we consider that? It's about the same price, and it's going to give way better airflow. Power supply is fine. I think 1300 watts is right around what we need. But again, because we need so much power for this build, because we're using these big CPUs, we end up with expensive PSUs. Now, this is a great PSU. 2 thumbs up here, PCIe Gen 5, it's ATX 3.0, it's super high-end awesomeness, so I'm not going to ding it for the PSU because we do need about 1,300 watts, and it's not terribly overpriced for 1,300 watts. All told, for when we add in the Windows license, $5,000. There's not $5,000 worth of performance here. We've basically taken a 13900K, we've turned it into a 12900K with our RAM selection. We've got crazy amounts of storage. I don't even understand what we need for, because we certainly didn't mention it in the comment, and we don't have enough airflow in this case. We're gonna massively thermally throttle, and we've got a terrible monitor. We're spending all this money on our box, and we've got a terrible monitor. What is going on here? We need to do way better. I called this the $4,500 gaming and production PC because you are gonna get amazing levels, not only of gaming, but because it seems like you really do want a production PC, a professional level production PC as well, you're gonna get that also. And look at this. I squeezed that in for $4,398.96 for $4,400. Now, I don't have the Windows license in here, so if you still want to buy that at retail, let's add another $100 in. We're still under our $4,500 budget, and we got you a way better monitor as well. But let's start off where else? The GPU. I went with the Asus TUF Gaming. For whatever reason, it seems like a Newegg is actually selling this themselves for $1,819. The one you had listed is a third-party seller on Newegg. So let's just go ahead and get this one. There are some cheaper 4090s out there, but they're only like, $40, $50 cheaper for like the Gigabyte Gaming OC. I have this unit. I really do like it. It seems like you really want it as well. There's not much to say about a 4090. It's the biggest, fastest GPU right now. And the 5090, we're either expecting at the end of this year or early next year. So this is still going to be the king for some time to come. Gaming monitor, you said you didn't want anything larger than 27 inches, which is hard at 4K because most of the monitors are 28 inches or larger. I'm not sure you're aware of that or not. So I just decided to get you something that's really nice. The MSI Mag 274 UPF 27 inch. Now this is kind of more of, I would say, an entry level 4K gaming monitor, but it's still pretty good performance on it. I do like it. This is one area, if you want to spend some more money, I might pump up the performances. I would consider OLED, especially if you primarily do gaming and content creation. OLED is insane, and you can get to 1440p OLED for only about a couple $100 more from this price point, so it's not that far away. But if you want 4K and you want LCD, this is a good one to get. For the CPU, let's just go more sensibly. If you want the performance of a kind of a hybrid system, I went i7 14700K. This is the only 14th gen Intel CPU that actually required a gen update because it's a new CPU. It's got 4 more E-cores to the 13700K, way better value. And I got you the K version as opposed to the non-K version, which actually with the promo code right now you get for $389. Way cheaper than the 13900K, similar levels of gaming performance, similar levels of multi-thread performance. You don't need as much cooling. You don't need as much power for it. Just all around a better CPU. For the cooler, listen, you can still go air here if you want. You can still go with the Noctua. I just think going Arctic Liquid Freezer 3, this is 3, this is not the 2, this is the 3, the brand new one. This is an insanely performative all matte black cooler, and it's got a VRM fan on it and actually does something. And for a build like this, now normally I would say it's more of a gimmick, but for a build like this, this actually seems nice, although the motherboard we're getting is really nice motherboard, so I'm not that worried about it. But $90 for a high performance 360 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler? It feels like highway robbery, so just grab it. A motherboard, let's stick with the MSI Mag Z790 Tomahawk. I think this is a good choice for us. I believe this has 3 or 4 M.2s on it. It's kind of really all you're gonna need for quite some time, although you're a storage hound, so we may need to add storage in later, but we can always do that with an add-in card as well. $229, really good value. For the RAM, I absolutely ditched that garbage RAM you have. Promo code's not coming through properly in PC Part Picker, but this is a $185 kit right now with a promo code. So it's only $15 more than the garbage kit you were gonna buy, and it's 64 gigs. I got you 64 gigs. You do not need 64 gigs. So if you come to your senses, click this 32 gigabyte kit instead and save yourself some money, spend it somewhere else. But otherwise, there it is. And this is the Ripjaws S5. This has the Intel XMP timings. The ones with Expo timings are also fine. They also have Intel XMP timing, so you don't have to worry about that. But DDR5 6000 CL30 is going to give you the speed that you need to not turn this CPU into a crappy CPU. You had so much insane storage, I really didn't know what to do with it. I don't want it to eat all of our available monies up, so I decided let's give you 12 terabytes of storage with DRAM on it. 12 terabytes of storage. If you fill this up, then you can always add more in later, but let's not start off with our insanity. Let's go with something that seems way more sensible. I'm getting you 3 of these Acer Predator GM700 drives. $259 for 4 terabytes. That's like 60 something dollars a terabyte. And these have DRAM on them. Look, they're not the highest performance drive. The drives you had are still higher performance, but given what you're doing, you will never see the difference between the two. So why throw that money down the toilet? Okay, for the case, you could get the Fractal Torrent if you want, $200. They do have one with a black side panel. If for whatever, maybe you don't like your cable management or you're worried your cable management isn't going to look good in a clear panel, I have faith in you that you can get something that looks super, super nice. So I went with the NZXT H9. I like this case quite a bit. It comes with 4 included all matte black fans. I think you're gonna like this case as well. The Elite version is, or the RGB version comes with RGB. Remember, you can always turn off the RGB if you decide to go with the case that has RGB on it. It's okay, just turn off the RGB. You don't have to deal with it. I think this is gonna show off your build and it's gonna give you the airflow you need. You're gonna top mount that 360 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler with it blowing out basically. This is going to be awesome. Power supply, we stuck it out 1300 watts, about what we need. This is a great unit. There's some other cheaper units, but I figured let's keep this simple and just stick with this one. So all told, for $4,398.96, you are going to get an insanely performative gaming PC at 4K or super high FPS, 1440p, really anything you want, because it's a 4090 PC. It's going to look amazing. It's going to be all black matte. It's going to have enough airflow. It's not going to thermally throttle. It's going to give you the performance you want, can do that hybrid. We've gotten you tons of 12 terabytes of storage in this thing. And not only that, we saved a ton of money on this build by coming in at your budget. So I hope you feel like your build is boosted. Remember, both those builds are linked down in the video description, so check those out for current pricing and availability in your region. And of course, if you got value out of this video, man, give it a like. It makes a huge difference to the channel. And of course, subscribe, click that bell icon. That way you get notified when we release cool content. Hey, speaking of cool content, did you check out our best builds in March? If you don't have $2,000 or $4,500 to spend on a gaming PC, we did 3 amazing builds starting $650, $900, and $1,500 right here. Let's get you gaming, and we'll catch you on the next one.